Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Round Robin. I am your host, Tracy Preston, and with me is Christine Mulligan, Nina Mulligan, Regina Lindsay, Angela Sinclair, and of course, my husband, Todd Preston. Hey, everyone.
Hey. Howdy.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
All right. Today is the last day of season 4. Woohoo!
Yay.
Yay!
That went super fast.
It did. On today's episode, we have blasted through all of the episodes from season 3. We had a 2-parter. So today, we're going to do something a little different, but super fun. Todd and I have been into watching Face Off lately. Have you guys seen that show?
No.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh. You guys would love this.
It's...
Is it like a movie?
No. So it's a special effects competition where artists must sculpt.
Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they sculpt, mold, apply, paint amazing face masks and cowls, which is like the headpiece. And they also fabricate costumes to go with it. It's freaking nuts. I wish I had that type of talent, but no, I don't even come close to that. So you can actually binge Face Off on Sci-Fi On Demand, and there's like 14 seasons. And guess what? No commercials. So it was on one of the episodes that we watched that the artists had to come up with creatures that had to do with phobias. And the ones that they had to choose from were ones that I have never heard of before. So I thought, why not do a show on different types of phobias? So what is a phobia? Per Wikipedia, a phobia is an anxiety disorder defined by an irrational, unrealistic, persistent, and excessive fear of an object or situation. Phobias typically result in a rapid onset of fear and are usually present for more than 6 months. Those affected go to great lengths to avoid the situation or object to a degree greater than the actual danger posed. If the object or situation cannot be avoided, they experience significant distress. Other symptoms can include fainting, which may occur in blood or injury phobias, and panic attacks, often found in agoraphobia and emetophobia. I don't even know what that is. Around 75% of those with phobias have multiple phobias. Phobias can be divided into specific phobias, social anxiety disorder, and agoraphobia. Specific phobias are further divided to include certain animals, natural environment, blood or injury, and particular situations. The most common are fear of spiders, fear of snakes, and fear of heights. Specific phobias may be caused by a negative experience with the object or situation in early childhood to early adulthood. Social phobia is when a person fears a situation due to worries about others judging them. Agoraphobia is a fear of a situation due to perceived difficulty or inability to escape. It is recommended that specific phobias be treated with exposure therapy, in which the person is introduced to the situation or object in question until the fear resolves. Medications are not helpful for specific phobias. Social phobia and agoraphobia may be treated with counseling, medications, or a combination of both. Medications used include antidepressants, benzodiazepines, or beta blockers. Women are affected by phobias about twice as often as men. The typical onset of a phobia is around 10 to 17, and rates are lower with increasing age. Those with phobias are more likely to attempt suicide. And oh God, that's awful. All right, so let's lighten it up a bit. So I found a bunch of unusual phobias, but before I talk about those, I'm going to just go last, just in case I need to pull any of them off my list. So let's start with you, Christine. What you got?
All right. So I really don't have any phobias per se because I'm just not built that way. But I would have to say that I have some fears, I guess, but it's only like a creeped out fear. So it's catsteridophobia. Catsteridophobia is the fear of cockroaches.
No.
So the thing is if I see a cockroach, I will immediately need to kill it. If I do not kill it and it gets away, I have to leave the premises because I don't know where that roach went. And then I'm also panicked. Even if I see it and I kill it, then I'm panicked that there's more. And then I find myself not being able to sit down. I won't be able to relax. I have to leave wherever the hell I saw the roach because I can't deal. So when I moved to Florida from New York years ago, when my kids were little, that was one of my biggest things. Like, I think I yelled at them on a daily basis to make sure if they dried the dishes, they had to dry them all the way, because somewhere I heard that if you have moisture in your cabinets, you'll attract roaches. So there was the Nazism I had with my kids drying the dishes properly, and then food wasn't allowed in their room because, of course, hello, you don't want bugs. So, like, I was a little bit of a Gestapo when it came to kid treats if they would attract roaches. So I guess that would probably be a phobia that I kind of sort of have. Catsteridophobia. That's the fear of cockroaches. But I was thinking deeper. The only real fear that I've carried with me my whole life, even before I had children, was the fear of losing a child. Like, when I hear stories, like all the stories that we talk about, I kind of always have to disassociate from their parents, you know? And when I don't, I find myself getting choked up. Like, I just can't deal with it. The fact that a child goes before the parent, I have a hard time dealing with that. So that is called thanatophobia. Thanatophobia is the fear of death or dying, and it's called thanatophobia. So the thing is that fear of death or dying applies to anyone, to yourself or to a loved one or a friend or anyone around you. Thanatophobia is just really a fear of dying. So when I looked up the fear of losing my children, that was the fear that came up.
I'm with you. Those are both horrible phobias. And I also don't like cockroaches or palmetto bugs. Is there a difference?
No.
They're the same thing.
Yeah, I don't like them. Because if there's one, there's like 100 you don't see.
Well, so
Right.
it depends.
I
So the
think that's
little
the
German
crazy
roaches.
about them. It's like, if you see one, there's an army of them somewhere else.
Right.
Really close to you.
That's true. That's true of the smaller ones, like the little. We always call them German roaches, like the little small
Yeah.
ones that you get in
Right.
apartments. The palmetto bugs and the cockroaches are the ones that fly. Just so you know, the big ones with wings.
Yeah, I don't
Tree
like
roaches.
I don't like
Listen,
those.
hey, you know, when I was in Arizona, I lived in Arizona, we had a cricket infestation.
Ugh.
Yet we had the what is it, the stucco walls and stuff
Mm-hmm.
on our apartment. Oh my God, there was crickets infestation. It's the same thing. Crazy. It drove me nuts.
Cricophobia.
We had something like that, and it's been several years ago now, but there was just this crazy cricket infestation in Houston. It was like they were everywhere. I mean, like, it looked like one of those old movies where, you know, like the biblical plague of locusts kind of thing. I mean, they were literally just all over the sidewalk, thick, like around doors and windows and stuff. It was creepy as hell.
I don't like crickets.
I don't like them either.
Well, when Todd mentioned the crickets, I actually was like, oh yeah, that tracks too. Because one of the reasons why roaches creep me out and make me they make me want to throw out is that the little spikes on their legs. So crickets have those spikes too. So they make my list. So I quickly looked it up while he was talking to see if it was the same phobia, but it's not. A fear of crickets is orthopterophobia.
Oh.
Orthopterophobia.
Yeah.
So kind of, sorta, I probably have that too. Because any bugs that have like spikes on their legs, yeah, no. I'm not messing with you. That's just gross. It's not that I'm afraid of them, because I will kill them readily.
Give me the shoe. Those are good, you guys. And I'm going to make this up, but I have a phobia of not being able to pronounce the phobias. They're very difficult words.
No, that's one of the endearing qualities of you is you mispronounce a lot.
I know. That's what makes me speckle.
We just need to go back to Hooked on Phonics. It's fine. It's fine.
All right, so Nina, what do you have?
Okay. I don't know. I think when I think of phobia, I feel like a phobia is like the most extreme thing of that version where it's like you're paralyzed and you can't do anything else. Like when people are afraid of heights, like they're like paralyzed. So like I don't have anything that like paralyzes me because ultimately, even if I have anxiety about doing it,
You're just gonna give
and
in
I
to the death.
hate doing it. Wait, what?
I said you just give in to the death. You'd be like, fuck it.
No. I know that I have to do it, and begrudgingly I'll just do it, even if it gives me anxiety. So when you said like phobias, I'm like, I don't think I have any. But then I thought to myself, okay, well, if I'm gonna be honest, I always have a fear when I'm on the road, especially if I'm in a new place and I'm gonna run out of gas. I don't know where I'm going. Like I don't like change. I don't like new cities. I don't like to drive in areas that I'm unfamiliar with because I'm like deathly afraid I'm going to get lost because I ran out of gas, and then I'm going to hear banjos, and then it's going to be like Deliverance, and then I'm lotion on my skin, and then I'm a skin suit. Okay, so
You sure got a pretty mouth.
Getting lost is called nasophobia. So that's so lame. Like they couldn't have made it cooler than that.
You're afraid of being in a maze.
Like mysterious lossophobia would have been a lot better than masophobia. I don't know if you're with mazes. Like maybe if it was, I don't know, Oklahoma where the corn is and there were children running around, that might freak me out.
The fear of running out of gas is not even a phobia. The fear of running out of gas is called what?
Range anxiety.
Yeah. That's just dumb. So
but I think that could be a mild form, though, of agoraphobia. No? Like not wanting to go out of your comfort zone, like your small space.
Agoraphobics they don't like to leave the house. They don't feel safe once they cross the threshold of their home. They freak out. They can't do anything.
Right, so that's not me. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like a more milder form of that. So the range anxiety.
Are you trying to say you don't like leaving the house?
What I'm saying is that I don't like driving outside of my immediate area. So that's like a 5 to 10 mile radius.
Right. Okay. So if you go further than 10 miles, do you feel like little heart palpitations, or you're like, okay, I got to go home?
I feel like I'm not, what if I'm making a wrong turn? And then what if I'm getting on some kind of toll road I don't want to be on? And toll roads lead you to places that are far away from where I would ever be going. So I'd be at the beach before you know it. Like that, those sorts of, that freaks me out.
Gotta love when anxiety is specific AF.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn. It's going to get real specific because it's black or white. We either are or we aren't. There's no like wishy-washy gray area. So I'm either like, I don't give a fuck, or holy shit, the whole sky's falling. Right? You know what I mean? You mean who, me?
Yeah.
Never.
Okay.
Well, those are pretty good. And as you were talking about driving and going too far, it made me go back to driving in New Jersey, because the turnarounds in New Jersey off the highways, those freak me out. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, I'm not New Jersey specifically, but like when we went to Puerto Rico, she's like, tell me where I need to go. And I'm looking at the GPS, and I'm looking at the road ahead of me, and I'm like, none of this matches. I have no idea where the fuck we're supposed supposed to go because all the roads are perpendicular and parallel to each other and loop all at the same time, and none of it's in English.
Yeah, but in
I don't know
Jersey,
where I'm going.
in Jersey, they don't allow left turns. So whenever you have to turn, there'll be a right-handed turn somewhere, and then if it was meant for a left turn, it'll loop around, go to the next block, so you can make a left turn onto a road, which doesn't make sense because you ultimately do make a left turn, but you only make a left.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm driving in Costa Rica.
Yeah, well.
Oh, that's a jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and my dad used to work for the telephone company as, like doing repair, installation, all that kind of stuff. And the phone company used to have a policy. They didn't allow the drivers of their vehicles to make left turns either. The reason is because you have a higher incident of having accidents if you're turning left. And you're always at fault. If you're the one turning left, you have the greater responsibility to yield. So the rule was no left turns, only 3 right turns. So you have to turn left. You have to turn right 3 times, and that's equivalent to a left turn.
I don't like it.
It's a pain in the ass. But apparently it was a thing.
Yeah. And I remember trying to come home from the Jersey Shore after attending like a conference, and I should have been home in an hour and a half. I didn't get home for almost 4 hours because of those freaking exits, the turny turns. And it was getting dark, and then that was anxiety ridden for me. That was awful. So I get it. I don't like it. And speaking of Puerto Rico.
I know, right?
What? Regina and I are recording live from
Puerto
Rico.
That's right.
And they like their music loud here. That's all I'm saying.
Really, really, really loud.
The people are wonderful.
And we grew up in the 80s, but the shit's loud.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least you're not next to the rooster farm like we were.
That's true.
Oh my God, we went to go on the back porch for a relaxing hot tub soak, and all you hear in the background is oh my God, there was 600 of them over there. It was like a literal farm.
I literally just about spit champagne across the room. Oh, Lord.
Crazy. I've never seen such a thing. But the mountain view was beautiful. Like, I saw the mountains and everything.
It is
nice.
Beautiful here. It is very beautiful. It's hot.
Yeah, I caught a whole rainbow across the mountain range yesterday. It was so crazy. It was really pretty, though.
And there's dogs everywhere. Okay. Regina, so there are dogs everywhere and horses roaming about.
Erwar.
But Regina was talking to a local, and she found out why.
Well, they were just saying that after the hurricanes this year or during the hurricanes this year, that a lot of ranchers and a lot of these dog owners and whatever, they didn't have the ability to take care of the animals, and they didn't have any way to keep them safe or keep them sheltered or whatever. So they did the only humane thing, which was to let them go so that they could kind of fend for themselves rather than to. And this happened in Texas, too, a couple of times when they had severe flooding due to storm surge and hurricanes and things like that, where they would have livestock that were stuck in stalls and in pens and whatever. And the rescue efforts sometimes were too late because the animals couldn't get out from where the flooding was and they would drown. So they did the humane thing and let them go. So they're everywhere.
Yeah, and there's like gangs of dogs. Roaming the streets.
Luckily, they're not vicious, but they're just wandering around like, hey, bro, what's up?
Yep. People are stopping because they're crossing the street, 3 at a time.
Which is crazy because they don't stop for other vehicles, but they straight up stop for the dogs, which is nice.
Yeah, they do. All right. So, Angela, what kind of phobias do you want to talk about?
Well, I have one. I have a few, but I have one that I'll specifically share because it actually was a traumatic event that caused it, and no matter what I do, trying to face it, I cannot overcome it. So, you all have probably heard of the movie Arachnophobia.
Yes.
So, when I lived in Arizona, we lived in a very small town called Sunsight, which is just over the mountains from Tombstone, about 35 miles, whatever. So we're sitting there and we're watching Arachnophobia. I was not afraid of spiders at this time. And it was dark and we were eating popcorn, and the scene where the couple is watching Wheel of Fortune and eating popcorn and the spiders, bite the shit out of them. Well, I reached into my bowl of popcorn and in the handful was a black widow spider. And I screamed and threw popcorn everywhere.
You did not put that spider in your mouth.
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, my God.
I am terrified of spiders, except for tarantulas, which is weird. But yeah.
Girl.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of spiders or arachnids either. I'm equally scared of scorpions. But I also am not too terrified of tarantulas. I was at a, like a flea market place in Houston, a huge one. It's called Trader's Village, and they have like a lot of different stalls, and some of them sell exotic animals. And I walked in there one day, and there's this chick carrying around a tarantula. And somehow, I don't know how, she convinced me to hold it. And it really wasn't that bad. It was kind of tickly.
It's fuzzy.
Yeah.
And then you
fuzzy.
can turn your hand upside
They're
down,
cute.
and it's still attached.
No way.
Yeah.
Straight up. It's really cool.
Well, I used to remember the Brady Bunch when they went to Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
Remember? And the tarantula was climbing, up on the bed. I used to be so freaking afraid of those, but they don't hurt you. They can't kill you. They're not poisonous.
They just generally don't. They're not aggressive.
And they're not poisonous. I always thought they were, but they're not. And Angela, that was a freaky story.
Right?
By the way.
Black Widow part of it is what keeps me the hell out.
Angela, I lived in Arizona too. I had a workmate that had a pet tarantula, and he thought it was going to be a great Thanksgiving gift to give his pet tarantula a praying mantis for a Thanksgiving gift.
The praying mantis ate the tarantula.
That was a bad mistake.
What happened?
That praying mantis tore that tarantula up.
Really?
Right before his eyes, and he's like, oh!
I thought you would be
You can't
housemates.
stop it. It's happening right in front of your eyes. His poor pet tarantula got tore up by a praying mantis.
Would it stick his, what do you call those things? They're not claws, but they're like spikes on the end of their...
And see, that's another one Christine must hate because it's got spikes on its legs too.
Yeah.
But their pinch are almost arms, and they just...
Did it just stab the tarantula?
Oh, it just tore him up. Just tore him up. I just can't even imagine to see your pet being tore up on Thanksgiving Day.
Someone had a feast.
Happy Thanksgiving.
He wasn't a great owner for the they were.
Is that like
That's
the
kinda
arachnid
funny.
version of a dog fight? Just put
Yeah,
random
that's like
insects
having
in a cage and see which one comes out alive?
Right.
That's like having a standard poodle and then giving it a pit bull to see if it'll eat it.
Right.
That's just dumb. Dumb.
Oh, that was
Kind of funny.
yeah. So what was your other phobia, Angela?
And another really traumatic event, I am deathly terrified of rats. I was a child, and my parents had bought a piece of property out in Charlotte area, and it had a garage, and we were very poor, so there was like a single wide trailer that we stayed in while my parents were renovating this garage to live in, and it's the house that I grew up in. Anyways, I would constantly come into my parents' room screaming, terrified, saying that there were rats in my bedroom, and my dad did not believe me whatsoever. And we had a couple of cats, and they disappeared. Well, one night I came into my parents' bedroom, and my dad was like, you know what, I'm tired of not sleeping. I'm just going to go to sleep in your room, and you stay with Mom.
Cool.
So he did. Right. Well, a motherfucking rat crawled over his chest, and he was like, "Oh, okay, now I fucking believe you." So to this day, I am terrified of rats.
Did a rat ever run over you?
I hate rodents. I don't like rodents. I have a disdain for them. I wouldn't say it's a fear, but I'm totally grossed out.
I'm like, my palms are sweaty right now just thinking about it. It's awful.
Oh no, I bet that was horrible.
Okay.
I'm sorry he didn't believe you.
Yeah, well, that was just the way I grew up. But, I mean, I find humor in them, but no matter what, I cannot get past those fears. Like, I've tried to face them, but I just can't. So sometimes a phobia is a fucking phobia, and you can't get over it.
You're stuck with it.
So time for Regina's useless trivia fact for the evening while we're talking about rats. Do you know why rats are so susceptible to poison? Seriously. Do you know?
No.
Why?
They have no gag reflex. So after they ingest the poison, they can't throw it up. Just saying. You can take that however you want it. I meant it just about rats. Okay?
That's like the total opposite of me. I have a huge gag reflex.
Yeah. He coughs and then he starts gagging. It's awful.
I can't even eat a marshmallow without gagging.
Is that why you don't like
that's
marshmallows? Is that why you don't like marshmallows, hon?
Oh, it's my gag reflex. Ugh.
Is that a phobia? Like fear of gagging?
It is not the
bet it
taste,
is.
it's the texture.
It's the texture, but it sticks on your uvula.
I agree. I do not like marshmallows either, and it's a texture thing. I mean, the taste a little bit, but I will eat a roasted marshmallow.
Yes.
So whatever that's about, but I will not eat a raw marshmallow. It's gross. I agree, Tom.
Yep.
So fear of gagging is called phagophobia, by the way.
Oh. I'm sorry, hon. What were you saying?
Me? What was I saying?
Yeah.
Marshmallows. Can't do it.
All right. This isn't my phobia, but I think this phobia is very interesting, and maybe we can all try to figure out why. And I'm going to slaughter this, but I'm going to do my best because we all know.
Do you need me to help?
Yeah. Can you say that?
Annotatephobia.
Annotatephobia. And I love this one. It is the irrational fear that somewhere a duck or a goose is watching you.
Okay, I can actually probably speak to that because when I was about 4 or 5 years old, a goose, my great uncle had livestock, lived next door to my grandparents, and he had a goose and a gander. And apparently the goose had laid eggs, and I didn't realize that. And the door to the pen was open, and I was walking to go to the swing set, and the gander came running across the yard and bit the hell out of me.
What?
Yes, it latched onto like my side, like my right side, just above my hip bone, and bit me so hard I had a bruise for like weeks.
Oh my God.
They probably laid an egg around there somewhere.
Yeah, well,
They're very territorial of their nest.
my great aunt and uncle ate
When
duck
I say,
that night,
like,
or goose
within
that night.
20 feet of their nest, they will not let anyone within 20
Oh,
feet.
no.
Or
I wasn't anywhere near it.
This number like that.
Yeah, but my great uncle and my great aunt had goose for dinner that night.
Just saying.
Just saying. They loved me better, is all I'm saying.
Well, it's funny because when I was looking up, unusual phobias, and they have all these pictures that go along with the name and the description, and it's a big duck face looking at you. I'm like, the more I look at you, I don't like it.
Right.
Okay, so phobias are usually started from a trauma somewhere, right? So
Yeah.
a traumatic event. So is annotatephobia, fear of ducks and gooses, is that a traumatic event like in kindergarten with the duck goose game? like, are they perpetually afraid of getting nuked?
It could be.
You never know. I actually kind of had one, but it's not really a phobia. I mean, I used to watch this show, and I don't remember what it was called, but it was basically psychiatrists that or psychologists that specialized in cognitive behavioral therapy for people that had severe phobias or OCDs, where they would try to help them overcome those. And one that really stuck with me is that there was a woman on one of these shows that she had this constant fear of hurting or killing other people. It was like she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to control herself and that she would cut somebody, that she would have stab them to death or whatever. And so I looked it up, and it's not really a phobia so much as it's classified as an OCD. That is, fear, basically this impulse to hurt people and the fear that you can't control it. And so why I remember this particular episode, though, is that the therapist, the way that they treated this, like you said, they try to expose you to the phobias until you kind of lose your anxiety about it.
Mm-hmm.
She sat on the couch and had this woman literally hold a knife to her throat, like sit behind her and hold a knife to her throat and set a timer, and they did it for an extended period of time until this woman realized that she wasn't actually going to slit somebody's throat.
That takes a lot of courage.
Right? But I'm guessing there was a camera crew there at least, so someone would have intervened, but did any of them know how to hold pressure on that?
Was it a foam knife?
No.
It was a real knife?
It was an actual, sharp kitchen knife,
God.
like a butcher knife.
That takes a big sack, because that's frightening.
Yeah. Yeah, she was a bad bitch. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I wouldn't even let somebody that liked me sit in the couch and hold a knife to my throat.
Yeah.
Okay? But yeah, that always sort of stuck with me. But I've seen, multiple episodes where people had these flashes of impulse to hurt people or drive their car into oncoming traffic or whatever. And some of them developed this anxiety associated with fear that they wouldn't be able to control the impulse.
That's interesting, because this might kind of go along with that, is when I was 25, I think, I was in a pretty bad accident. I was hit by a semi, rollover, this and that. So sometimes when I'm driving, because I've had that kind of accident, I'm like, okay, because I know how fast I was going. I was going 65. So I'm like, okay, at 65, as I'm going around a corner, like, oh, if I don't pay attention, if I don't do the right thing, I know what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you guys ever have those thoughts when you're driving? Like, oh, if I mess up, or if I'm not paying attention, or, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because that was trauma,
mm-hmm.
even though my mind, really protected me. Like, I never felt the crash, the rollover, none of it. So, and I've never had a dream, nothing. Mm-hmm. But it's just a thing I think about when I'm driving. So is that normal, or is that because I had trauma? Do you guys think about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, on one hand, it's a lesson learned. You learned a lesson.
I didn't do it. I was innocent. It was a double trailer semi. He just merged, and he merged gently. He wasn't driving out of control, but all that weight, all that momentum, and you could look at my car and just see the very edge of my bumper was scuffed. That's all it took. And I went way out of control on the left. I'm like, oh my God, I-95 in South Florida before they had guardrails. I'm like, I'm dead. I got to go this way. Cranked it all the way over the other way. And then I was moving forward in the meeting. I had no control. But it was just a bump, which is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Nuts. But I don't get freaked out about it. I just think about it.
Yeah, you get freaked out about it. Every time a semi drives by us, you're like, hon, you see that big truck?
Well,
yeah.
And the spouse detector test determined that was a lie.
Exactly. Well, I do get intense. I do get tense. And especially because they're swerving. So I'm always watching the front tires. I'm like, no.
You have a fear of car accidents in general, because seriously, anytime somebody's cut people off, which, let me tell you, I drive in Houston, and this shit's crazy. Okay,
it's crazy
and
here.
Houston is bad, but this is bad. This is
here
crazy
in Puerto
bad.
Rico.
And every time we go around a corner, Tracy's like, ah! Like somebody's going to have an accident, or a dog runs out in the road, or a bird that was in the road takes off flying and she's afraid it's going to hit the windshield. And
okay, but in all honesty,
you lost your shit, girl.
No, I didn't. That bird almost hit the windshield.
No, it didn't.
It was very close.
It was not.
It was so close.
Let's get back to your fear of semi. So, fear of semi-trucks is actually called semi-ochophobia.
Semi-ocho?
Semi-ocho?
What if it's only 7 and not 8?
Semi-ochophobia.
What if it's only 7 semis and not 8
Semi-7?
Yeah.
I have that. The semi-ochophobia.
Yes, you do, babe.
Not semi-siete, just
You do.
semi-ocho.
It's okay, though. It's okay. I'm used to it.
Okay.
That's right.
It's like I'm used to it.
I have a fear of people.
It's like, hurry up and get past it.
I kind of have a fear of people that drive semis, because you see so many. I've watched tons of documentaries and tons of like really bad like C horror movies where it's always some dude driving a semi terrorizing people, or they're serial killers and they got somebody locked up in the back.
Yeah, because they're over the rotors. Boom.
Right.
Do it, kill you, jump you, and they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Not all semi-drivers, everybody.
No.
I have some
definitely.
friends that are semi-drivers. They're amazing.
No, definitely not. I'm just saying that, based on some of this, just like in every walk of life, let's be honest, there are some psychos out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, the whole idea that, of course, when they make movies and stuff about it, it's so exaggerated, but I can feel that anxiety. Those are the kind of things that get to me. There was a Stephen King novel about a little girl that got lost in the woods. And that whole time, I was just like, I realized reading this book, I'm tense the entire time because, yeah, I kind of have a fear of that too.
Mm-hmm.
Just the idea of like being out in the middle of the woods and I don't know where I am and I don't know how to get back to where I'm supposed to be. That scares me.
That's very frightening. I think the takeaway on that is we all should have compasses.
I think the takeaway on that is I have to know how to read a fucking compass first.
Turn here. And I'm like, where here? This here? Because that line goes from being like really long to all of a sudden now you have to turn. I always miss the fucking turn.
I think you and Tracy just go off the rails when we talk about driving because you both have anxiety.
I don't like it.
You know what? For the record, everyone, I am actually a very good driver. Regina. She is not being nice because I am a good driver.
You, Tracy. I love you. I'm just not going to tell people how many one-way streets we've about turned down this weekend.
I did do that once. Okay. It was confusing. Confucius. I did not do that.
No, you're both very good drivers. You're just anxiety ridden. That's it. But anyway, Todd, do you have any phobias for you?
Do I?
Yes.
No, the other Todd.
Todd over there.
I actually do. It's and it was kind of a hard pill to swallow, but it is definitely a phobia of mine. It's called atikiphobia. And yes, I looked up how to pronounce it because I wanted to make sure I got it right. And it is the fear of failure. And according to the Cleveland Clinic, atikiphobia is the intense fear of failure. It may cause you to put off or avoid any activity or scenario that has a potential for an unsuccessful outcome. Someone with this condition may be scared to try new things, take risks, or embrace growth for fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, hon.
I feel you, bud.
Absolutely. I think especially, I don't know, I feel like maybe Christine and I on this call too, because being the type A people that we are, it's
what the hell are you trying to say, woman?
You heard me. Okay. Is that being perfectionists, and Tracy's one, Nina's one, Christine's one. I think probably all of us to some degree. Some of us, Christine, more than others.
Regina.
Yeah. But, it's just, it is sort of, it's really intense. Like the fear of absolute abject failure. It's hard to change careers, it's hard to change relationships, patterns of things that you do, and step outside of your, your little box. And I think that's pretty much applies to most people, but I do understand how sometimes it can become debilitating as well.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, that is actually a good place for us to take a turn to, is we're laughing and cutting up because that's the point of this podcast, is to lighten somebody else's day that's listening, or, intrigue them, so to speak. And the chuckle is always the best medicine. However, phobias in and of themselves are actually very serious. And we may not have any true phobias amongst us where we can put the gravity to it that it deserves. But people with phobias, it can be a debilitating mental illness.
Absolutely.
But can I just say, Bebe, just for a second, and it's not that you're a perfectionist, it's just that you're already perfect.
Oh,
Wow, Christine, I mean, how much wine did you give her tonight?
Yeah, how lined up are you, Nina?
We love you, Nina. We love you, Christine.
Per use, it's podcast time, so that's when the bottle of wine comes from.
She's like, hon, you know what tonight is?
Okay, I see.
Aw, you doing okay, love?
Yeah,
Okay, I love you.
I love you.
We all love you, Todd.
Yeah, see?
Speak for yourself, bitch.
Wait, what is she? Oh, speak for yourself, bitch. Right, whatever.
Whatever.
What's that one saying where it's like, you've only failed if you didn't try? Or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell people, it's like not how you fall, it's how you get up.
I mean, because I do have that to a certain degree, so I can understand. And, there are times where I just get so overwhelmed. And I'm like, why am I even in this kitchen? And I can't even remember anything. But
yeah, actually, you know what? Sometimes Nina does have an anxiety that kind of correlates with Todd's. Is because if it is anything new, she does a little bit get paralyzed with anxiety.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it. I'll follow through with it. But it's like I almost gotta. So I'll give you an example. One of my trauma triggers from my previous marriage was nickel and diming about groceries, like all the time, and it just was like a huge, huge issue. And it didn't matter how I tried to do it. It just never was good enough. It was just always too expensive, and he just couldn't understand this. And so it got to the point where it's like it was like a permission thing. Like I need to spend this much. Is that good? Or I need to spend an extra $20, and I'm calling him in the middle of work. To ask if that's okay, sort of thing. And so going to the grocery store and spending money is a huge source of anxiety for me. But I go and I do it, and I think since we've been married, she's understood that, and she's like, we're always going to have food. We're always going to have money for food. Get what you want. I'll be like, oh my God, I can't. This is like $8.
Okay, but I feel like you're getting off topic. So that's what I'm saying.
You have to go out and you got to keep doing it. You got to keep just trying. Yeah, right. And a little each time, and then your anxiety goes away for it.
I do say that a lot to you.
But
we're always gonna have money for food.
Is that polite way of saying, "Bitch, I'm hungry"?
No, it's shut up. Don't ask me. Just buy it.
Yeah, because it's a permission thing for me. And so it's like, I feel like sometimes my sense of not wanting to be a failure, so let's come full circle. So my fear of failing is really failing Christine. I don't want to disappoint Christine. Because
you're making me sound like a psycho.
No, she's not.
She said you were perfect. What more do you want?
I'm trying to help, I'm agreeing with Todd on a level of what I'm saying? I get that because that's how I feel.
You're going to fail me as a bad steward of money? Is that your point?
Or I didn't clean good enough. Those are my traumas from my previous marriage. So it's since we've been together and you're if you want to take a nap, you you can take a nap. Like, you don't need my permission. You know what I'm saying?
Also, fear of failing at housewifery.
Just fear of failing you and whatever expectation you have of me, because all of the expectations that I ever tried to give previously were never reciprocated with care or love or attention.
Oh,
do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like,
you don't have to have that fear.
But she's working on it.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, like, that's because we talk, because I'm able to, like, say those things to you. That's what's helped me heal from that. So it's like, I understand where Todd's coming from, that fear of failing.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I'm following.
Yeah,
now.
that was full circle.
And
Nina.
that's not to say, Christine. Yeah, that's not to say, Christine, that you've done anything to make her feel like a failure. A phobia, by definition, is sort of an irrational fear. So it's not like you've given her any reason to feel like, oh my God, I failed. But, I get that too, Nina, because, there are times that I tell my current partner things that, or I say, hey, I have plans to go do this. And just from conditioning from previous relationships, I'm kind of waiting for her to be mad at me, like afraid that I'm just going to, fail at this too, but also make her mad. You know what I mean? So I totally get that. It doesn't come from anything that she did. It's just my irrational fear.
Right. So the key takeaway on that, love, is you just keep getting up and you show the world who you are, right?
Yeah, man, I'm trying.
Yep.
You are.
Doing my best.
But you know what?
Absolutely.
You're a badass to all of us.
That's right.
Yeah. You got this, babe.
I got it.
You got it.
You got a whole cheer squad, dude.
Yeah, who has...
And we're hot.
Who has all these girls in their corner? Nobody.
Hey, so listen. The fear of angering someone is often referred to as angrophobia.
Huh.
Angrophobia. See, no, that one makes sense.
Is there one called hangrophobia for one?
Is there a hangrophobia?
Like afraid of letting people get too hungry.
Hun, do I have hangrophobia?
No.
Angrophobia, that's for sure. And I said angro.
You have hungry phobia.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Hangrophobia is like I'm a fear of letting people get hangry.
Baby hasn't eaten. She needs food.
That's true. Tracy does have hangrophobia. And we have her up.
I was like,
don't let me get there, friends.
Please.
What?
I'm like that too. If I tell you that I'm hungry, we have approximately 25 to 30 minutes before I lose my shit.
Max.
Oh, you have a much wider threshold than Tracy does. We don't have that much time.
Well, I worked in the ER too long.
It's 5 to 10 minutes tops.
It's like, whoa, we got to pull off. Ooh, they got food there. Gas station.
Let's go.
Is this your pet peeve too, Tracy, though? Because I'll be like, are you hungry? And then whoever I'm with goes, well, I don't know. Are you hungry? Motherfucker, I wouldn't have asked you if I wasn't hungry. It drives me crazy.
I'm prompting you. I'm
like,
hungry. Are you hungry?
If I'm asking you if you're hungry, that's like, hey, feed me.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
We're totally hungry. All right. Let me see. I think I have... okay, so this one, and a lot of people have this one. Coulrophobia. You guys want to guess what that means?
Fear of being too cool?
You don't have that phobia.
No, I just am that cool. No, but go ahead and guess.
So coulrophobia. A lot of people have it.
They all float down here. Anybody?
Anybody? Hun, you should know that one. All right, that's it. I'm tired of waiting. Do you have an answer?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Abnormal fear of
clowns.
Oh
my God.
Coulrophobia.
Yeah, fuck them fuckers.
I used to collect clowns when I was really young. And then I think it was Poltergeist that jacked it up for me because seriously.
Was a scary clown.
But after that, if you look at any of them, they all look a little evil. All of them. I don't care how cute their makeup is. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I had porcelain dolls. I had porcelain masks and crap in my room when I was a kid. Well, at the time, it was before that came out. And then before I read It.
Oh.
Just saying. But after Poltergeist and reading It, I was done.
Pack them up.
John Wayne Gacy.
Burn those fuckers.
Yes, he was
him
quite
too.
frightening.
The killer clown.
My parents got us a clown puzzle.
What?
When this is like back in the 70s, you know, my parents, for Christmas, we got a clown puzzle. It was like just a menage of different clowns. And I was like, nope, don't want to do it. I'm not a fan of clowns.
They don't scare me, but they would scare me in the right situation. Like if you're all alone
And somebody, like,
all of a sudden
showed
a
up
clown
outside
comes
the window?
walking. What if you saw a clown like in the hallway of your hotel room? That would freak me out.
Well,
A clown by himself walking down, holding a balloon, just walking real
That's
slow.
like
or a
There's
bloody
a
knife.
TikTok video waiting to be made right there.
Yeah.
I'm just having flashbacks to, y'all remember that Bud Light commercial that was always used to air around Halloween? It's like, hey, we should stop and pick this guy up. He's got a case of Bud Light. But he's got a machete. But he's got Bud Light. You know? It's like, oh, we should pick up this clown. He's got a bloody butcher knife. Yeah, but he's got booze. Let him in.
All right. Okay, I think I'll throw out one more and then I'll lock it up. Because I found this one, I can relate, but the name doesn't go with it. So, brontophobia.
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 Fear of being forced to read Wuthering Heights.
You're a dinosaur.
I know, it sounds like a dinosaur.
No. Fear of being forced to read Wuthering Heights. That is the most awful book I have ever read in my whole life.
How is that brontophobia?
Because it was written by Charlotte Bronte.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, I know I'm a nerd.
You are a straight up nerd, but I love that. All right, so brontophobia, you guys, is an abnormal fear of
Oh.
What? Did she say
She
butthole?
said butthole.
Did she say being pegged? And it's an abnormal fear of pegging, Nina. You pegged it. No, that's not it.
Smile. It feels good.
All right, all of you guys don't even know what it is yet. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, it's an abnormal fear of thunder.
I like Nina's explanation better.
Brontophobia.
I think
Everybody's dog
I
has
learned
that.
that once
Yeah.
before from the movie Ted, when they're under the blanket. Marky Mark and the teddy bear, and they're under the blankets, and they're singing that thunder song.
I never
think
saw
they
that.
taught us all that brontophobia was fear of thunder. Now that you said it out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, Ted taught me that. That's like this rude, foul-mouthed bear.
That's so weird because I actually like the sound of thunder.
Now,
I fall asleep to it.
but as a kid,
I did
did it scare you as a kid?
No, I always liked it.
No, it
I
never
didn't like
scared
it.
me.
I've always liked thunder and lightning.
I did not like it. Angela, did you like it?
Not for the longest time, but I was born on a night when it was thunder and lightning, so I've come to embrace it now.
That explains a lot.
Florida's
That makes sense. Angela was born under the lightning and thunder of the rock gods.
There you go.
That's right, baby. Oh, yeah.
Her sign is AC/DC.
Hell yeah, it is.
So Angela's being born. Na 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 na.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm hearing Ozzy in my head because this is the crazy train tonight.
I am the crazy train driver. You want to go?
Nice. Oh, well, that was a great show, you guys. That was fun. I think we all needed
Well,
a...
I have one more actually.
Oh.
Because I just the way it sounds.
Okay.
Frigophobia. Frigophobia. You know what frigophobia is? It is the fear of cold. It can manifest through various signs and symptoms that significantly affect daily life and heightened level of anxiety when exposed to cold environments, leading to...
That's why they say it's friggin' cold.
That's what it is. Frigophobia. I think we all got that one.
I think Lori definitely has that one.
Yeah, she does.
She straight up does.
That was a good one.
I've learned on this show that I have more phobias than what I originally thought. Thanks, guys.
Yay, we gained phobias.
Yeah.
I know they did kind of just pile up a little bit.
I mean, I discovered once that I was claustrophobic while in an MRI tube. You
That'll
know.
do it. And it's loud.
had flashbacks. Made me think of being sealed in a coffin.
Wait, have you ever been sealed in a coffin?
No, but that's what I would imagine it would feel like, is opening my eyes and there's something literally so close to my face that I can't focus.
Oh, good.
And
I
can't
couldn't
get
do
out.
it. Okay, let's talk about Christine. Can
Yeah.
you say if there is a fear of being in a coffin?
Well,
A
it's probably
phobia?
claustrophobia, but
That would be claustrophobia. Fear of being in
in
enclosed
enclosed
space.
spaces.
Yeah, but maybe there's a specific one for coffins, like
Yeah, because
Like
I don't.
vampire bedophobia. We're vampires, please.
Vampire phobia?
Vampire bedophobia. Cathophobia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cathophobia, the fear of being in a
Cathophobia.
coffin. Cathophobia specifically refers to the phobia of being buried alive, which is why a coffin is a primary trigger for this fear. Cathophobia.
Yep,
Which is, I want to be cremated and turned into standard.
that part.
Yep.
Yeah. And, you know, again with the whole weird off-the-wall trivia that I know. So, do you know why they used to put bells in cemeteries?
I know why.
Yep.
Yeah, because they buried the dead often.
They
They
did.
buried people alive all the time.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people would be so sick that they were unconscious and they had very not well palpable pulses or whatever. They're breathing so shallow you don't see it. And they tied a string to the end of the decedent's toe and then ran it up from the grave to the tombstone, and there was a bell there. And that's why there was always someone on the graveyard shift overnight, because if the bells started ringing, then you knew that you had to dig that person up because they were moving.
All right, so Christine, look up graveyard attendants. Their phobia is the ringing of the bells.
Is there a fear of bells? Is there a fear of bells?
You know what I mean? All of a sudden you're in the grocery store, ding ding, or you're riding a bike, ding-a-ling. What?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, my nap is over.
Another AC/DC song. For whom the bell tolls.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Straight up.
Oh, my God,
That's
you guys.
Metallica.
A fear of
Yeah,
hearing
yes.
Oh, yeah.
A fear of hearing bells would be a specific type of phonophobia, which is the clinical term for fear of loud noises. So phonophobia is loud noise.
Which makes sense because phonograph.
Yeah.
Phono. Yep.
All right.
Liking it.
Literally, there has to be thousands and thousands and thousands of recorded phobias,
Yeah.
because you could be afraid of anything.
Yeah.
Right, but I feel like phobia is supposed to be like just an overwhelming, irrational fear, but you're right. I think that people are afraid of just really bizarre things, and the issue with that is you can't really dismiss it. And I think it's hard for people that actually do have phobias, because I feel like they're probably not well understood, and their families are like, just get over it.
Right.
But for them,
that's why
it's physical.
We brought it down. Yeah, I'm sorry. We brought it down a little bit before, but a phobia is an overwhelming and debilitating fear of an object, place, situation, feeling, or animal.
Yeah.
So phobias are more pronounced than fears, and they develop when a person has an exaggerated or unrealistic sense of danger about that situation or object. So that's technically the difference. But yeah, Todd's right. There's millions of phobias listed out there, because everybody's got their sneaky-haired trigger, I guess.
Yeah. I've seen those movies where that one, what is it called when you're afraid to go outside?
Agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia. I watched a show on that, and it was, my heart was pounding for this girl. I mean, that self-talk she had to do, and like, today's the day, she's getting all her stuff on, and all the talk it takes her to unlock the door, and then to open the door, she's opening the door, like, it's almost like she has high anxiety, you know what I mean? Like, the room is spinning, she's sweating, and she can't do it. And I just thought, oh my God, my heart breaks for that.
Well, isn't that what they're kind of experimenting with, the psychotropic drugs and helping alleviate? They're saying, it's helping people with PTSD and all those sorts of like irrational kind of phobias because it creates new neural pathways and retrains your brain or something like that.
Well, I think they're, aren't they doing a lot of like experiments with microdosing with mushrooms for that?
They are actually.
Yep.
There was, so someone I knew was kind of involved with that, but they said it actually kind of started with the military. They were having a lot of veterans who had been deployed that were coming back home and having all this PTSD, and they were on all of these normal, the antidepressants, the anxiolytics, the antipsychotic medications, and they were not getting a whole lot better. And then they noticed that there was this one group that suddenly had stopped coming to the clinic, but they were doing really, really well, or they'd stopped taking medications and they were doing really, really well. And they eventually figured out that they were taking mushrooms. And there are research studies about both mushrooms and MDMA. Believe it or not, they used to use that back in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. It originally was created as a drug to help people deal with traumas. And it's because you have that sort of dissociative effect. And if they have a therapist sort of guiding them through the trip, so to speak, they actually can process things that are just way too overwhelming for them in real time. And a friend of mine who her mother was diagnosed with the BRCA positive breast cancer, right? And so it's genetic. And that, in case anybody didn't know, that's the reason that Angelina Jolie had bilateral mastectomies prophylactically so that she wouldn't get this type of breast cancer. Well, my friend also tested positive for the BRCA gene. And so she had to have bilateral mastectomies, and she actually will have to have a hysterectomy by the time that she's 40, okay, to prevent her from getting ovarian and breast cancer. But my point here is that when she was getting ready to have the surgery, one of the things that she told me was that she was spiraling. She was really having a hard time, and she's a nurse too, so she kind of just kept it all bottled up as we do. And she said, one night that she had dosed mushrooms, and that she said, I woke up the next morning and I don't know how to explain this because nothing about my situation had changed, but somehow my anxiety around it was gone and my ability to cope with it was better. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, I'm all for it because I've seen documentary. I think Todd and I, didn't we watch a documentary on microdosing with mushrooms, or was that?
We did. That was a cool show.
Yeah. And they are under a doctor's care. They're being very closely monitored, and you're watching these people. It was a privilege that they allowed people to watch it, so you can actually see what they're going through. Some will cry, some will this, some will just, toss and turn while they're being watched and going through their trip. But every single one of them felt better. They felt lightened.
And the change is sustained in a lot of cases, whereas, unlike with certain medications that as soon as you stop taking it or if you aren't titrated off of it properly, that you have a rebound of symptoms, and when they come back, they're worse. For whatever reason, treatment with psilocybin, which is the hallucinogenic component of these mushrooms, has a longer lasting effect.
It's cool stuff.
Right. And you do also have, since we're going kind of deep into this, there have been several studies done. You can look up many of them. But there are times that some people's makeup, it's not a great idea for them. And it is
you're right.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit of a Russian roulette, because it has also been known to push people over the edge when they were teetering on a mental illness, most likely to begin with. So
no, that's valid. That's valid.
Yeah, people with severe mental illnesses, when they do psilocybins or mushrooms or what have you, sometimes that throws them way over the edge where there's no coming back for them. There has been times where people have no longer been able, they did not return to their baseline functionality.
Is that because they're doing it on their own and they're just eating handfuls of mushrooms, or are they these people that, I don't know if you know them or not, or if you're just, because I get what you're saying when people just do loads of drugs and they trip out if they do LSD or whatever, but just the microdosing of the mushrooms. I mean, it's such a tiny amount just to allow them to relax. So,
unfortunately, there have been many studies done, and there are a few. They don't have 100% success rate all the time.
Right. I mean, it's just like anything. You're going to have people that have adverse reactions to any substance, pretty much, that you put into your body. There are people among us that have different levels of tolerance for alcohol, for example. People that have more European genes tend to have a higher tolerance. people like myself who are Native American, and I actually did the research. We don't produce the enzyme that breaks down alcohol in sufficient quantities to be able to, drink as much as someone who has European descent. And it's just a genetic difference. I mean, just like any kind of allergy to anything, there are going to be people that have great response to it, and there are going to be people that, no matter how small of a dose you give them, are going to completely flip out the other way.
Right. Well, that's exactly it. Regina just said it. It's kind of an allergy. Anyone can have an allergic reaction to anything. An allergic reaction is not always hives and swelling. Sometimes, especially when you're dealing with psychotropic drugs, you can have a swelling in the nerve endings in your brain, and that's not going to be good for you.
I'm pretty sure that's how my brother ended up taking in his schizophrenia, because he was taking, I think, acid or LSD and those kinds of drugs.
Yeah, well, LSD is very much the drug that will give you mental illness if you did not have it before. Is highly manufactured. It's just not as normal as, when I say normal, I should say natural. It's not naturally growing like psilocybin is.
Right.
LSD was a lab-created drug.
Right, and then you have, I imagine though that...
Which is why it's no bueno at all.
But I imagine though that the reaction to mushrooms, if one does have an adverse reaction to it, is probably very similar to an acid flashback that just brings back the trauma, and then somebody just can't escape it,
Right. If they
point.
can't deal with it, they can't deal with it. But that's what I mean. It's a little bit of a Russian roulette. So I didn't want us to be like, oh, it's great, and tout all the good things about it, on a podcast.
Kids, I'm not telling anybody to use magic mushrooms.
And of course,
who isn't under a physician's care.
Consult a physician.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'd like to remind everybody too that it's illegal to use unless you're under a physician's care and in a controlled study.
Don't go looking for mushrooms, please.
I did have somebody come into the ER one time when I was working there that had eaten some rando mushroom out of his yard. This kid was an agriculture major or horticulture major at Texas A&M. I'm like, dude, I'm pretty sure you just failed your final. But he was so out of it thinking that he was eating like a magic mushroom that had psilocybin in it. And I'm asking him his name. He could not answer a single question. And his mother was a physician. She shows up in the ER and we give him fluids and all this kind of stuff. A couple hours later, I come in and he goes like, hi, my name is such and such, and my height and weight or my date of birth is. And I was like, really, dude? You're in college for this shit, and you just ate some rando mushroom that you found where, like, on a cow patty? Like, what's wrong with you?
Well, that's where it grows.
I know, it is, but you got to know the difference.
Oh, God.
And this is why there are Aggie jokes. I'm just saying. Hook 'em.
All right, everybody. Well, that was an awesome end to season 4. I think that was great fun.
Yeah.
Did you guys have fun?
We got a little raucous. And we did make light of phobias. And, of course, we want to put that disclaimer out there. We're not really making light of them. They are serious afflictions.
We're just gently bullying one another. This is not directed at anyone else.
Exactly.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much. It was a great episode. I loved it. So have a great week, and we will see you guys back on Monday for season 5. Have a great week, everyone.
Season 5.
Bye.
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 Bye, everybody.